red bird that lives under the city doesn't give a damn about me, and it dies every night. So I'm on a knife. I am a knife.
One topic I know that you love is Nicolas Cage.
Sure do. He's an artist. He's a great artist.
Absolutely. I have heard more people talk about non-musical earworms, like certain lines from movies or things that get stuck in your head.
Oh, yeah.
And for me, the Great Muppet Caper, Charles Grodin, ever since I was a kid, there's a line where he says, like, thieves aren't breathing down your neck. And that line in his delivery has been stuck in my head since being a child. And I just say it to myself the way that he says it. And are there any like Nick Cage lines or line deliveries that have been stuck in your head for a while?
I'm a vampire. I'm a vampire. I'm a vampire. I'm a vampire. Not the bees. Not the bees.
Not the bees! Not the bees!
Shoot him again. I can see his soul dancing.
Yeah.
Which, I definitely lifted that for a line.
Was that just like a line that's stuck with you, or like had you watched the movie recently and that's why it came out in songwriting, or?
It's just such an evocative lyric.
Yeah.
And it was that song is about death. So you know when you see a person's soul rising out of their body, which I can see that. I'm just kidding.
Oh man, this interview is gonna take a turn.
No, yeah, it was incredibly evocative, and it stuck with me. And then I was watching a show on Comedy Central, and it showed like a person dancing at a funeral, and that like made me think of that line, and then that's what the Coffin Dancer became.
What do you think it is about Nicolas Cage that makes him so great?
Nicolas Cage is an artist, and his canvas is film. His canvas is particularly like, it could be any film, and he's going to deliver the same quality role and the same incredible art that he does, no matter how good or bad the movie is. So if you watch Mom and Dad, Joshi, another earworm. That movie is actually fantastic. It's him and Selma Blair. From Mom and Dad to National Treasure, he's going to be Nicolas Cage, and he's going to be the best Nicolas Cage he can be. There's a thing that I call the embarrassment threshold, and it's the thing that artists.
I was just about to ask you about just like how embarrassing art can be.
Really embarrassing if you're doing it right.
Yes.
Nicolas Cage fearlessly crosses the embarrassment threshold with any movie he makes. That's the same reason that I really love the band Shoo Shoo, who we're going to be on tour with later this year.
Oh, nice.
Because Jamie Stewart is kind of like the Nicolas Cage of singer-songwriters. He, bravely, fearlessly just bounds across the embarrassment threshold whenever he can to create something vulnerable and beautiful.
How do you deal with the embarrassment, like of self-disclosure in art and stuff?
I mean, I believe in it. I believe in embarrassing myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to cross the embarrassment threshold every time, and I want to be vulnerable to people on stage and on record.
So is it
I hope I do a good enough job.
No, I mean, that's what, like, I think that is one of the things that I connect with so much in your music is, like, I mean, even going back to the political stuff of today, of the stuff that people are afraid to say or don't want to say, and you, whether it is, like, really dark or whether it is, like, embarrassingly optimistic, which I feel like, deep down inside you want to be, but sometimes it feels ridiculous to be optimistic in the face of everything that's happening. And I feel like that's what is so beautiful about what you do, is that you do cross that threshold in such an incredible way.
Thank you very much.
Not the bees!
With your songwriting, I know you've talked about with this album, one of the biggest encouraging things as you started to write some of these songs was your wife's reaction to some of the songs and her positive reaction to them, and that being kind of a litmus test of this is where you should be going.
Yeah, that was when I realized that writing writing on the nose and being as unsubtle as possible was the way to do it for this album.
Yeah.
And to try to kind of like mirror the modern language of the day, which is just like all caps, misspellings, 140 characters or less. To try to mimic modern society.
And you said that like her positive reactions kind of kept you going. Does she ever help you in the other way of like you play a song and she's like, hey man, that's not it, and you're like, oh, you're probably right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Man, that's so great to be able to, I don't know, share that. Like, how long have you two been together?
A very long time.
Okay, so like before
this band. Yeah.
Oh man.
Before I like around the time I started trying to write songs. When I was like, I met her when I was 16 or 17. Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah, we've been together for a very long time. I'm 34 now.
That's incredible. Not you being 34, but
it's pretty incredible.
I mean, that's awesome.
Not the bees.
In a lot of the interviews, people are talking about like your optimism in the face of what's happening. What is your relationship to cynicism? Is it something you have to fight off? Is it something that you feel like is worth diving into, or?
That's a very good question.
Thank you.
I tend to believe that cynicism is the enemy, and with such a dour record, I unfortunately do think it came off as cynical, which wasn't exactly the intention. It was to be more kind of mournful, but yeah, cynicism is the enemy, and there are reasons to be cheerful and there are reasons to be optimistic. But at the same time, I definitely see myself falling into cynicism day to day when I'm on a day where my brain is having a storm, not a brainstorm. When there's a giant black cloud hanging over my brain, I can very easily fall into cynicism, and I try not to channel that into the songs as much.
How do you feel like you're going to survive 2020 with like the election coming up and everything? Is it art? Is it music?
It's art and music and direct action. With 2020, luckily we're on tour for a lot of 2020, and we've figured out a cool way to register voters at our shows. And we've also recently endorsed Bernie Sanders and have been kind of embraced by the Bernie Sanders camp.
That's awesome.
Honestly, Bernie Sanders is a big part of why I'm more optimistic than I was at the beginning of the year, knowing that guy has a shot. I mean, regardless, if he loses the primary, I'm voting for whoever the 46th president is that isn't the 45th president. But it'd be really cool if it'd be Bernie Sanders.
Yeah.
That'd be fantastic. But yeah, so we're going to survive 2020 by registering as many people to vote to overcome the fascist overthrow of the United States. And then if that doesn't work, we'll find something else to keep going about.
My friend Casey from high school, who we used to listen to you together, and I just loved rubbing in his face that I got to do this today. He wanted to ask about that, about what was there anything that gave you hope in like the geopolitical, in what we're in right now, because he was saying that off the new album, No Justice, No Peace, No Hope, that he felt like that was almost like a direct sequel to People.
Yeah, I used to comfort myself with the myth of good intention.
Yes. And he thought that might be a direct response to the hope and optimism of People.
That's a direct response to November 2016.
Yeah.
More so than the song People, which I still like, Hope Against Hope. I believe in the song People more than I believe in No Justice, No Peace, No Hope.
That's what I feel like the words to People. And then also, I hate everything about you, but I'm trying really hard to not hate you. Hating you won't make you suck any less. That line, hating you won't make you suck any less, has like really been a slogan for me during a lot of the last couple of years.
People and that song Cocapelli Face Tattoo are on our set list for this tour.
Oh man!
I think for that reason is that there's songs about. I mean, one is a song about how we should be hopeful for humanity, and then the other is about mitigating conflict among people we disagree with. Which there are conflicting messages in the songs, especially from this record to past records, but fucking deal with it.
Not the bees.
Have you ever cried on stage?
Yeah. I've cried while singing.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, but not like, I haven't like outright like wept uncontrollably on stage yet.
But there's always the night.
But I've definitely definitely cried while singing songs.
What does it feel like being on stage? This is such a basic question, and just looking out to the audience and how they're reacting or responding or vibing to the songs, whether it's dancing in places you wouldn't normally expect people to be dancing, or you're probably catching people crying and hugging and making out, and I don't know what all you're seeing up there.
I've seen it all.
Yeah.
I've seen hugging and crying and making out, and during the slowest, most like loving songs, I've seen people fight.
Oh.
Very strange.
Yeah.
But yeah, during the softest songs, people sometimes people get into fights that are not frequently. You guys can come to our shows, but like yeah, the love songs. It's very strange. I keep an eye on the audience, and it's one body made up of individuals. Especially if it's a song that we've been playing forever, where it's kind of muscle memory. And I don't really need to think about what's coming next. I can just people watch.
You're probably gonna see me cry tonight, so
I hope so. Crying people are my favorite.
Absolutely.
I love crying to music, and anytime someone cries to music, I feel a connection to them.
Crying is awesome. It's not it shouldn't be embarrassing. We all do it. We all look ugly doing it.
The future could use a lot more crying, and there will be.
Man, that's the best ending line. That just put those words on the screen, and that is the end. The future could use a lot more crying.
Born Loser sucks. Please unsubscribe.
Born Loser magazine sucks. Sorry.